History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. The race doesn't always belong to the swift nor the battle to the strong. It belongs rather to those who run the race, who stay the course, and who fight the good fight. This is the only time in history when I get to fight for God. This is the only part of my eternal story when I am actually in the battle. But this is my limited window of opportunity. And I'm going to fight the good fight for all I'm worth.
You're listening to Free Range Thinking.
Are trying to destroy Canada and trying to destroy America and trying to destroy our country. It is January 11th, 2025. My name is Jacob Cline. Welcome back to the show. I haven't been around for a month. I've been setting up the studio. Hope you like it as much as I do. And we have a lot to talk about. And the first thing I want to talk about is Justin Trudeau. He's gone. Justin Trudeau has resigned from office. And it's really interesting because I was writing this script about Justin Trudeau. And then he suddenly resigned. I was sitting there eating breakfast and suddenly he's gone. So it was a pleasant surprise, I will say. But now I have to incorporate this into my script. So I'll tell you what I was going to say before he resigned, which was about Trump and Trudeau's relationship. Is that really relevant now that he's resigned? No, but I still want to talk about it because it does play a part into what Donald Trump thinks of Canada. Because we've heard these rumors circulating around that he wants to buy Canada, he wants to invade. But is that something to be cause for concern? Because we know that Donald Trump is really good at invoking emotions into people. If it's invoking energy into a crowd, if it's invoking fear to a reporter, and this could be another instance of him invoking fear into other countries or energy to his people. I've seen so many tweets saying, America is back, baby. But to Canadians, this is fearful. And it's really interesting that he decided to do this because he's almost proving the left that their point was right. They're almost proving that this guy almost is for world domination. But I'm here to tell you and to try and reassure you, this is my belief personally, that there is no cause for concern. I think he might purchase Greenland. I think that is an option, but I don't think he's going anywhere with Canada. First of all, Canada is such a massive, massive land. It would take so much money to do anything with Canada. If he were to invade it, if he were to buy it, it would take a fortune. And second of all, I think Trump just really likes seeing people squirm. I mean, if this could be true for world leaders, this could be true for reporters, anyone. He likes seeing people squirm. And I think this is also a wake-up call to, if it was Trudeau or Pierre Poilievre or the whole parliament, it's just time to wake up. It's time to actually get off your butts and take control of your country. I'm going to be honest. Canada is so lame compared to America. And I'm a Canadian, and I'm very proud of my country. But I'm not proud of the government. And our government is stinking lame. It's more than lame. It's corrupt, it's evil, and it's designed to ruin the lives of any real Canadian. But other than that, it's kind of lame. And it's easier for Donald Trump to just say, I'm going to take over your country, right? But I don't personally think that he will. And let me tell you why. Trudeau and Donald Trump's relationship has been always very special. Ever since 2017 or 2018 at the G2 summit, Trump has always said that Trudeau acted so mild and meek and dishonest and weak. It's actually really funny to see some of his quotes because it is confirmable by me. I'm a Canadian, and I can confirm that he is so meek and mild, very dishonest and weak. I mean, he even called him two-faced after Trudeau was caught gossiping with other global leaders at, where was it? He was caught giggling with the world leaders, at the 2018 UN luncheon. It was quite embarrassing, to say the least, on behalf of Canada, that Trudeau was acting like such a little girl with these other world leaders. I'll pull up the image. It's really cringy, and overall Trudeau's really cringy, and he's corrupt and he's evil. But moving on from all that, He's just a weak person. He's just there as an image, and he's two-faced. Trump said that he was two-faced. Let me give you an example of his two-facedness. At his resignation speech, he said that he stood up for all the Canadians in Canada. He stood up for freedom forever. He's never not stood up for freedom. And, maybe I can pull up the clip. I probably won't, so I don't get copyright struck. It was very, very cringe to see Trudeau blatantly lying to all the Canadian people. It was really, really dumb. So I think Trump is giving a wake-up call to Canada. Not only that, he likes seeing them squirm, and he's just kind of teasing Trudeau. Maybe it's just revenge from all the stupid stuff that Trudeau has done to Canada. And everything about Trudeau's phony, it's fake, it's all just elite governments behind him. I mean, even if you think about it, Trudeau's resignation is so similar to Biden and Kamala. We're having an election in November, September, somewhere around September, November. And now, why would Trudeau just resign now? Why wouldn't he call an election? It's the same thing where Biden's about to run again for office, and then suddenly he says, oh, never mind, Kamala's going to do it now. I'll see you guys later. And then that was a tweet. And then 7 days later, we see him. Like, he was non-existent for 7 days, even to the fact where people thought he died. We saw the same thing with Kamala. She was just randomly gone for 40 days, and no one saw her face at all. So it's very similar if you contrast the two countries' political leaders that they resign right before an election. So it's not, as much as I would want to celebrate that corrupt, evil Trudeau is gone, there's not really any reason to, seeing as the country's still being run by the same corrupt elites, and we're still gonna have to fight, obviously, because now they're gonna replace it with someone else, someone who probably looks better, who promises better stuff. But will it matter anyway? Because there's a chance that just like the U.S. brought in Kamala Harris, this incompatible, piece of trash that can barely talk, and they brought her in for an election knowing fully well that she couldn't win fair and square, which is why they tried to cheat the election, but that's beyond the point. Even whoever the Liberal Party of Canada brings in as their candidate for the upcoming election, there's a super small chance that they'll win. Pierre Poilievre is winning so much in the polls that even if you were to add up all the other parties and combine them, they would just barely beat Pierre. Barely. It is absolutely crazy how many votes Pierre, or what the polls are saying, because people are so tired of Trudeau. We've had Trudeau for 8 years, and before that we had his dad. I'm glad he's gone, but nothing's changed, and we're still being run by the same corrupt individuals who are trying to destroy Canada and trying to destroy America and trying to destroy our country and the world. And the whole resignation speech was a fraud. There's no way he actually talked to his family the night before he resigns. That just doesn't happen. And on a different note, this is something I didn't add in my script, but you notice on each of the left's presidential Twitter accounts, their bio always says, like, Biden is like grandpa. That's the first word in it. Kamala is mom. And then it's like president of the United States or running for president, something like that. But they always have that little word in there to make it seem like it's more homey. Oh, she's mom. This is grandpa. And this is what Trudeau's trying to do in his speech. He probably didn't write the speech, let's be honest. Oh, I had to talk with my family, and after after a long thought about it, I've decided I'm going to resign. I can't run the country if I have internal struggles. It's all phony, it's all a fraud, and I think all of Canada knows that because everyone's voting for Pierre Poilievre. And it's we gotta be rooting for him because he has a lot of stuff on his plate. He has a lot of stuff he has to fix. Canada's in a mess, and it would be a favor for the U.S. to take over Canada because even no matter what happens to Canada, we are still overrun by immigrants. It's to the point now, if you've ever been to Canada, you go to any major city, it's to the point where immigrants, foreigners are the majority. and Canadian families are the minority. You will see more immigrants, you will see more foreigners than you will see a white Canadian family. This has nothing to do with race, by the way. It has nothing to do with race, it has more to do with culture. I don't even believe in race, okay? I'm not even a believer in race. I don't think race exists. I think there's just one race, and it's called the human race, and I think all lives matter, but even aside from that, because all of racism is a lie, we don't have our country anymore. So the best thing that could be done for us right now is the United States to adopt us into their country. And then that way we can disperse all the immigration, we can give all our problems to America. And we could all be Americans, and we could all eat Chick-fil-A, and we could all live the happy American dream instead of the sad communist Canadian government. All right, our country is destroyed, and I want to talk about expand on this immigration problem that we have in Canada. For those who don't know. There was a point where we were just getting so many immigrants at a time. It's just there was a employment problem. People couldn't find jobs. It was actually a really sad thing where government hands out some money. It was very messed up. And most of these immigrants are Indian families. They all come from India or somewhere in the Middle East. And the thing with those people in that group, that ethnic group, is that they believe in having lots and lots of children. Lots of children. Those children are going to have lots of children, and these elites have convinced white European families that having children is a bad thing. That's abortion clinics. I don't even have to convince you. Abortion clinics are trying to tear up the family inside out, starting at the children. LGBTQ indoctrination. That was one of the points in George Orwell's 1984. Is you can't destroy the family from the outside, but you have to go from the inside, from the children, starting in public schools. And we're now all convinced, except for the immigrants, that having children is a bad thing. We've forgotten the cultural mandate to be fruitful and multiply. Now these Indian families are coming in and they're having tons of children. We're losing our culture rapidly, and it's a very, very bad thing. And there was something too while I was researching this topic. I didn't have to do much research because I already know a lot about immigration as it is. But as I was researching, I came across a Reddit post. It was actually a really sad Reddit post. And it was, have it here. I read a story about an Indian child whose parents had 12 children in poverty. And now the child wishes that he was never born due to his poverty. It's a really sad situation, and that's why we have so many Indians in my country of Canada, and that will never cease to populate. Okay. I personally believe that if you are a born-again Christian and you start a family, no matter how many children you have, God will provide for each one of your children. And I have heard the lie that people say, 12 children? I'm not doing that much, not in this economy. That's a complete lie. That's what the globalist elites want you to believe, that God won't give you funds, economical help for your children. I mean, it even says that if God provides for the sparrows of the field, the birds of the air, will he not provide for his own children? And I think that as of Indian families, like the story that we just read, they are mostly not Christians, and they are of different religions, mostly Buddhism, or mostly they're Muslim, and they are not Christians, and they do not believe in the God that we do. So therefore, they're not God's children. Now, God is always watching over them, because God is a sovereign God, and even families that are not his children, they're still human beings, and he does care about them. But it's very different than a Christian family. So you will hear these stories, and some of these stories are true, but if you are a born-again Christian, God will care for you like the birds of the air and the birds of the field that get their worms. So, yeah. On today's segment of Unfiltered Faith, okay, wait, hold on, I'm going to do that again. On today's segment of Unfiltered Faith, I want to talk about a way that the devil works right under our noses in practically all churches, with very few exceptions. Those are Sunday school children books, and they tend to look like this. Now, these books have a big problem. Now, they may look innocent at first glance. They may say, okay, well, we're teaching children about the Bible at a very young age. But this is such a big issue, and maybe you guys have not noticed. I never noticed until it was brought up to me. And it's flown under the radar for too long. I mean, look at this Noah's Ark one. These animals look so cute and fluffy, and the little ark, there's a little rainbow in the background. And I'm just going to tell you, most of these books, while they may not intend to be this bad, I believe they are the devil in disguise. Let me explain. If you were to give a child the beginner's Bible, timeless children's stories, it says, and you have them read it, and then you turn on the TV after dinner, and you have them watch the newest Spider-Man movie with the new CGI, the Spider-Man No Way Home. And I'm going to ask you something, because there's a bunch of really high-tech movies with amazing graphics that are made for children. I'm going to ask you something. What do you think the child's more likely to believe is real? Is the child going to believe in the children's Bible, the timeless children's stories? Is he going to believe in that cuddly little ark with those little cute-looking animals? Or is it going to believe Spider-Man? The Spider-Man No Way Home with Tom Holland, and he's swinging around in the buildings. If you've ever seen that movie, it's absolutely amazing. Just like pretty much every other superhero movie that's made after 2010, the graphics are flippin' wonderful. But the problem is now you have these people making these little kids' Bible stories books, and they look so cartoony, and they look cute and cuddly, and if that was actually how it looked like in the Bible, that would be no problem. But we all know that's not how real life looks like. That's not how it looked like. The ark was a massive ark. Massive. I mean, if you've ever been to Kentucky, you know what I'm talking about. That ark is ginormous. It was the biggest storm in all human history. It killed every population. It killed all the population of the earth except for 8 people. And you had all these animals on the ark, and they were probably pooping on the floor, and it was so loud, and probably everyone was in pain. It was a very incredible, and yet it was a very dark event that happened. God regretted that he made man. It was very brutal, that story. And so now you give a child the Spider-Man movie, and you give a child this children's book, and the child knows that the children's book's not real. After all, it's just stories. It's in the same format that you would give a book about a dog that's a superhero. It's the same format as Baba Black Sheep or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And obviously, I would say that I would not give a child a book like, for instance, in David and Goliath, where David runs over to Goliath and grabs a spear and cuts off his head. I would not put that in a children's book. I would not have actually any blood in a children's book. Depends how old the child is, actually. But this cartoony nature has to stop. Especially when it says timeless children's stories on the cover, too. Because let me tell you something else. Not only can this be fooling children, but this can also be fooling fully grown adults. Because they see this at the store, maybe they buy it for their kid, and they look at the Noah's Ark, maybe this is an atheist, look at Noah's Ark, it's a nice story, oh, there's a rainbow in the background, that's also nice. And when they hear the gospel next, they just think of the timeless kid stories, these lunatics on the street giving out tickets to God. So this is wrong in absolutely every way. It's been under the radar for way too long, and it has to be stopped. They have to be rewritten, or they just have to get rid of it. And I'm going to tell you something. I think it would be, me as a child, because I can still remember when I was 5-6 years old. Trust me, guys, I can. I'm not that old. I remember seeing those children's books, and I would already have my fully leather... Actually, I'll go get my Bible. One sec. This is my Bible. I've had this Bible since a very young age. I've had it for a while. And it's an excellent Bible. It's actually the MacArthur Study Bible. It has a bunch of footnotes on the bottom about a bunch of study, words maybe you don't understand, or some topics. It really unpacks it very nicely. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that as a child, it would be way more awe-inspiring to be given a book like this. Imagine being a child, you don't barely lift it up. You open it, like the golden pages on the side, the 3 bookmarks, you open it up, man, look at all these pages, look at all these words. I can barely read this. I want my dad to read this to me. What is this book of awe that has golden letters? This isn't an advertisement, but this is an advertisement for you guys to go get your kid a Bible, because look how much in awe they would be of this massive Bible they can barely read yet. I mean, sure, they might not understand the stories by themselves, but that's why it is your job as a parent to read these Bible stories to your kid. And having maybe your grandfather's old rustic Bible is that'll be a lot cooler gift than giving them some dinky children's book, Winnie the Pooh style type thing. This is a really cool thing to get your child. Way better than the other stuff that will distort their view of Christianity, especially if you're a Christian parent. Even if you're not a Christian parent and you happen to be watching this, I would still highly recommend you get your kid a Bible. Even if you don't believe, that Christ died for your sins, even if you haven't still accepted that free gift of salvation that he has given you, this is still an excellent book about morals and about great lessons that you could get your child. So I would highly recommend you get them a child at an early age rather than an older age. And I would just skip out on the cute little Bible books, the little Bible stories, and I would get them a big leather goatskin Bible. It is a lot cooler than some dinky little kid's book. And I have a story also. I remember at the current church I was going to, I must have been 7 or 8 or something, I was sitting in a Sunday school class. I was quiet. I was actually ready to try and learn, because at that time I wasn't very talkative in class. That has changed a little bit, but I wasn't very talkative, and I wanted to learn or try and tell my parents something that after their service I could go and tell them. I said, hey, you know what I learned about? I learned about so-and-so and so. And I was trying to listen, but all the other kids were hyper on probably the cookies they just had beforehand, and they were all talking, and they were hyper, and the teacher, which is one of the moms that just circulated turns, teaching the Sunday school class, she was getting pretty exasperated. She was getting pretty annoyed, and she did not want to be there by any means. It was 15 minutes in, she still hasn't got the kids' attention, and I'm still there trying to listen, trying to learn, and finally she just throws her hands in the air. She just says, I give up. She goes over to the shelf, grabs a stack of coloring pages, puts it on the table, gives everyone some crayons, and we all sit there and color coloring pages for the next 45 minutes until our Sunday school was done. And I still remember exactly who that was, and I remember everything about that memory. And it was actually, frankly, quite lame. It was quite disappointing. It was pretty cringe. And I would have loved a real lesson. My dad would have totally taught a real lesson for Sunday school. I tell you what, my dad would have prepared a week in advance for Sunday school. He was that dedicated, and I really owe all my knowledge, and I owe everything to my parents who raised me very well. They're still raising me, to be fair. It's really disappointing because all the kids in that Sunday school have heard before that Jesus loves you. And yet and we didn't even get a Jesus loves you, we just got coloring papers. I have 40 coloring books at home. I could do that at home if I wanted to. And frankly to say, my parents were not very happy that she did that. And she had an excellent opportunity to share the gospel, or at least share something true to all of these young, vulnerable kids. And this is something that I stress so much on this podcast, is that they are after our children. This is a tactic that the left will use, and that these elites will use. They'll target the children. Like I said, they destruct the family from the core out. The core out. The core is your children. They will go for your children. That's how they wreck the family. Okay? And we have to build the family up. And so we start with the children. Okay? And if they're already trying to target our children through propaganda advertising that you can cut your private parts off, if they're already doing that, then we have to combat that and teach them truth. If we're not doing that, we are actively losing the battle. And if you are being like the Sunday school teacher, you're giving up. You're pretty much giving over yourself to the other team. You're not even trying to be a warrior. You're not even trying to be anything. You're being useless in this situation. This teacher had the opportunity, and I'm not dissing the teacher or anything. Like, she was a nice lady, but never do that again, because she had the opportunity. Like, there was 10 children in that room who could have been forced to listen. As those kids grow up, you're not going to have that opportunity to gather 10 people in at the same time and have them quietly listening to you. That just won't happen. You even see in evangelism, as you contact older kids, they are less interested as ever have they ever been, less interested to listen to the gospel or to listen to any truth. They just don't care, because it's too late. They've already gotten, there's a certain generation, like the children who are most vulnerable in the past 5 years have already been corrupted. Most of them, they're pre-programmed, and they've already won those children, and we have to immediately put a reverse to this. That's why I make this podcast. I don't make this for money. I don't do this for fame. No one watches these. If I could get one person to watch a clip of these or any of these who will rethink their life, who will rethink their truth and rethink their values and will think things through. I just want people to think for themselves and not to get their phones to be thinking for them. If I can get one person to change and to search for the truth, I mean, it's those who search for the truth will find the truth. So if I can get one person to search for the truth, this whole podcast is worth it. Yeah. That's that. And let's see what else we got. Alright. Put this down here. I'll keep my Bible right up here. I want to talk about UFOs. I'm a little bit late to the subject. That's on me. But we've seen a bunch of UFOs over New Jersey, over a lot of places, and honestly, I don't have much to say about this. But I will say one formula. There's a formula, I just shared with you one of the formulas of society, and that is to target the children. That's how you will pretty much destroy society. But another formula, and I mean, they go for the children because they go for their future. The children equal your future. Children, the next generation, they go after the children, they go after the next generation, they go after the future. So they're after our future, and once they get all those kids indoctrinated, future's gone. We're going to be living in pods. But another formula is, if the government can get you to fear something and they offer you a free solution, that's how you get everyone hooked up on stuff. They got you afraid of COVID-19. They got you afraid of a virus. And lo and behold, this is the solution. If you don't get the vaccine, you're going to die. These fear tactics you would see over and over in the media. All these people who are involved in getting people feared to inject something they didn't want in their blood, to the point where you couldn't even work if you didn't get a vaccine that was forced on you. These people should be going to life in prison. They're forcing you to take something you don't want to take. You don't put it in your blood. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. In the 15 years of my existence, I've never seen anything like it. We've never seen anything like this in history. It's absolutely insane. And I want you to, because as these new viruses evolve, I want you, and these UFOs too, because they're trying to inject fear in you, so when they offer the free solution, you're more willing to take it. So keep this in mind. The free solution is absolute garbage. It's bull. Free solution? Why would the government suddenly care about your health? Why do they care? Another thing too is they're trying to restrict alcohol usage to like a cup or less than 1 cup of alcohol per day. Like, can you just leave the people alone, let them do what they want, please? And it's like a few years ago they were saying that wine was good for your heart. I mean, obviously not if you drink it in excessive amounts. And they didn't even care. Like, alcohol has been tested for thousands of years of the human existence. We have been drinking alcohol. So why are you targeting alcohol, making these new laws all of a sudden to control it, when you have this new substance, marijuana, that is now being legalized in a bunch of states, and a bunch of people are getting drugged up and high on these drugs? They're making people dumb, essentially. Now they want to ban alcohol? Hello? Just let us be in our control of our bodies. The consequences is ours. So just let us do what we want to do. If someone wants to die from being a drunkard, let them. Why would you have to invest money and put in new policies to prevent people dying from being an alcoholic, which isn't even that high? Like, even if you do want to do it, even if you wanted to play by those rules, why wouldn't you go after marijuana usage first? Drug usage. How about the fact that in Vancouver, every drug is legalized and you're giving out in the streets? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that's a good idea to have people living on the streets? It's completely obvious. It's so obvious what they're doing. I really hope that you see this as transparently as I do, because if not, I have lost faith in this generation. You should be seeing this so clearly, how they are trying to control your bodies, how they're just trying to control everything about you. Anything, like they're just puppeting you like a puppeteer would, like a puppet thing. That's you. You're the puppet. And you have the puppet politicians, and they're in power of the whole world. I am awakening the next generation. If you are the next generation, if you are my age and you're watching this, just think that I went through the trouble of making this studio, right? I went through the trouble of putting lights up, of buying lights. I even bought a green screen and it didn't even work. I set this up. Overall, this thing probably took me 12 hours to set up. So I can wake you guys up. And I would, because I'm not uploading as much as I would recommend you to constantly be checking sites like InfoWars is one of them. I would constantly be just to cancel all your fake news subscriptions, clean up your YouTube. Actually, don't even watch YouTube. What am I saying? Rumble's a great one. Twitter is now cleansed and is now a sacred social media. I would just get rid of all the garbage that you're being taken in by the government. If you are my age, that's your call to action. All right, I'm going to go back to UFOs. Kind of went on a bunny trail there. We've been seeing sightings since 1947. I'm not going to get too much into history. And the experts are saying this is just heavy air traffic and that you've never noticed it before. But now people are starting to look to the skies and, oh, wow, look, there's an airplane. Why is the news covering it then? Like, hello, experts? Okay, if it's suddenly now this whole array of UFOs, why is the news only deciding now is a good time to cover it? And if these are just spacecraft, that doesn't make any sense. And the media is saying media are saying these are unidentified flying objects. So you know what that means? Just don't believe the media, because anything the media says nowadays, it's probably the complete opposite. So if they're saying this is an unidentified flying object, well, guess what? It's probably government drones. It's probably there to fear you, or to get people feared. Feared is the big thing. They want everyone afraid. And also, UFOs set the foundation for what will be Christ coming down, the second coming on this earth, and they will probably say, oh look, it's an alien. Let's all shoot him. You'll have all the world's military forces attacking this one man coming down that they'll say is an alien. Also, when Christians get raptured, if you're, depending on whether you're pre-mill or post-mill, this is what I believe, when Christians get raptured, it will be alien abductions. Because they have to start putting in this belief of aliens right now. And I don't have a solid theory. I'm not saying whatever, but Project Bluebeam, I encourage you guys to search that up. Project Bluebeam. If you put that in your Google browser, Project Bluebeam, A, you'll probably end up on a government watch list, but B, you'll see big letters right underneath. Project Bluebeam, scroll down one thing, conspiracy theory. And we've already gone over on the show how that phrase is complete phony. It's fake. Conspiracy theory is propaganda. That's Nazi propaganda, conspiracy theory. Why don't you lay out the facts instead? So Project Bluebeam is something that would be worth searching up because they say it's a conspiracy theory, so it's probably not a conspiracy theory. Project Bluebeam, and yeah. Alright, we got through that. Yeah, and something People would rather choose to be addicted to things like dopamine, junk food, what else did I write? Laziness, scrolling, drugs, alcohol. I'm not saying alcohol is a good thing by any means, but people would rather be willingly addicted to that and have their mind full of euphoria as they scroll on their bed, eating a bag of chips all day. Go to school, after school, do your homework, scroll all day. People would rather live in that constant bliss than to be awake doing what I'm doing. Because this is work. This takes work. Alright, they want to control what they put in their bodies. They want a cap for alcohol. Do-do-do-do. Alright. Final portion of the show. Final portion. I wrote an essay for my school not too long ago. It was about art. It was asking the question, should high school students be forced to take a mandatory class in the arts? Now, this doesn't seem like a very essential topic to talk about by any means. We have Mark Zuckerberg coming out and saying that his program has been for free speech this whole time. He's probably trying to avoid jail time, but whatever. We could talk about that, but I chose to talk about this instead because, I don't know, I just thought this is a kind of interesting segment. I want you guys to hear it too because I hope I get a good grade on this, so, maybe I could convince my teacher if I get enough positive feedback on this. Alright, I'm going to read this. Art is essential to our world. Without it, life becomes bland and tasteless. Every human being on earth appreciates some form of art in one way or another. However, today's generation is beginning to lose its taste in skillfully crafted art, which takes hard work and patience. Due to this low standard of art creation, all high school students should be forced to take a mandatory class in the arts to improve the next generation of artists and everyday people, to give students an opportunity to pursue an art career, and to have a school filled with skilled art students, which can help funding. To begin, I would like to clarify that improving the next generation of artists does not just apply for people looking for a career in the arts. I believe that every human being should be equipped and prepared to tackle an artistic task. It is widely known that the average woman is more equipped and skilled at taking an artistic task than the average man. Throughout history, men have been involved in things like business. And a large part of business is dependent on art, such as advertising and other stuff. Did I actually write that? Did I put other stuff in my essay? I should have added that. That should not have been in there. I might. Alright. And other stuff. Hundreds of examples like this goes to show how dependent we are on art. And when the quality of art lowers, our quality of life lowers as well. And to expand on that idea, we can observe examples of this happening all around us. For example, the media giant Disney is an example of a form of art that was the best in the entire world. But now we can observe, by opinion and statistics, that the movie industry and film industry has gone downhill in quality, along with the painting industry, which has significantly turned less into skilled individuals pouring their heart into a piece of art, and more of some random person with a French name looking to for a quick cash grab, like duct taping a banana on a canvas. That's not in the essay, by the way. About this trajectory. Oh, hold on. Wait. Oh. If we do not do anything about this trajectory of art, then all art will turn into a tasteless gray palette, and there will be no joy and no enjoyment in our lives. My second point is about the art industry itself. Without students taking an introductory class in the arts, how is anyone expected to take a career in art? While it is true that students in elementary school do take an art class for most of their life, the amount of homeschool children who do not take a class in the arts, that was me when I did my 4 years of homeschooling, and when they join high school for the first time, there will not be a class for arts. And hold on, I lost my place. Okay, there we go. Artists need to turn away from nobody. Artists needs to turn away from being nobody's looking. What? Artists need to turn away from being nobody's looking for fame and money. What? All right. My third and final point is how much an art class can benefit from the school itself having a class or two of skilled artists. So many things can come out of such beautiful murals in the hallway. New logo designs for the school itself, fundraisers, and the list goes on and on. Having a school with an equipped talented art class is like having an army with skilled archers. They are just there for you, and they are cracked at their job. And in a world where it is easier for schools to be gray and bland and boring like prison, it is essential to have some color to spice it up instead of the same old, same old. And this is not only true in the average school, but it is also true in the world. In conclusion, it is essential to have an arts class, and you are crazy to not have one in junior high. Whether it's a paint class, a film class, a drama class, or whatever you would decide to pursue it will be beneficial for your life, and you will be glad that you took that class. It is safe to say I might not get a good grade on that essay, especially if the grammar was that bad. I personally think that when I rewrote it, I used text-to-speech, which is where you're talking to your phone and it writes it for you. I might have messed up there. The original one's probably a little bit better, but anyway, let's hope I get a good grade. And that will do it for today's Free Range Thinking show. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for taking 30-40 minutes.